Should I get political? Me after one cup of tea, you know? The reason that I don't like to talk about politics is actually not that I don't think like there's anything about politics that matters or whatever. The number one reason I don't like to talk about politics is because I am currently, as of like right now, uninformed. So that's kind of the reality. Is I would be okay if I would be okay having a political shit show. Like, I would be okay having a political disagreement with a person. And I do have my own personal politics that I believe in. But I don't like the idea of preaching my personal politics when I actually am really uninformed, if that makes sense. Like, I think that abortion rights should be like federally enforced in America, personally. But I couldn't win an argument on it if someone had a fight with me. Like, why do I think that? I just think it. I don't like to like preach on it when I don't really know what the fuck I'm talking about. I think it's just a recipe for disaster. If I felt more informed on it, I would. I was gonna say about like gun rights, I guess. So personally, I feel like in America, there's a lot of challenges with gun rights in America. And I don't know if the correct solution to America's gun issues are necessarily federal. But on the other hand, the problem with America and gun rights is that if you're really lax in one state and you're really tough in another state, and the two states just happen to be literally side by side, you're kind of having a problem right now, you know? Like, ideally, the laws would be statewide rather than federally. But if you have like X state where you're not allowed to have a gun whatsoever, period, and Y state where like as soon as you turn 13 years old, they give you your first rifle, and they're just right beside each other, we're kind of having an issue here, you know? So some things I think do have to be enforced federally. The problem with America, as far as I can tell, is that like America is fucking big and diverse, and it's really hard to like get everyone living under one roof here, you know? Oh, I say here, I don't live there. You know what I mean though? America's really big and diverse, and like if you think of like there's probably I don't know if there is as much difference culturally, probably not, but there is a ton of difference culturally between like state to state. Like each state is as big as a country in Europe. Like each individual state can be as large as a country in Europe. But they're all under one banner. And I guess like it's like the European Union is not a country. But the European Union is kind of collectively very similar to America, you know? I understand why it would feel weird in, for example, like Europe, like having a law that applies to like France and also to, I have no idea, European countries off the top of my head, okay? Somehow, would it be more analogous to the UK? I don't think so. I don't actually think so. I think there's kind of an argument. I think it's hard to say exactly, but I think there's kind of an argument that like in America, it's more comparable to like, I guess maybe the UK is a better, but it's like, it's just that UK is so small. America's so big, so it's hard to compare. Like some of these states are like full-on fucking countries, you know? Like I say full-on countries as if like Scotland isn't a country, but you know what I mean? They're big fucking chunks of land. What would be a place I would like to live? Somewhere warm, I think. Yeah, the EU is sort of a confederation. No EU law can pass without all countries agreeing to it. Some laws don't need a unanimous vote, but they still work for it. Yeah. Yeah, California has the fifth... Oh, and I love that both of you said that. California has the fifth largest economy in the world by itself. Yeah, like, that is like... In my opinion, that's like a fucking country. You know what I mean? Like, that's like... It's just hard, I guess, to say that, like, California... The divisions aren't strictly geographical by state either. It's arguable that all states are red states. They just have blueberries embedded across them. That is also true, I think. In that, like, most states are, like, but I think this is the case everywhere. Cities tend to be more, like, blue, and, cities tend to be more blue, and towns and stuff tend to be more red. Rural areas are more conservative, yes, but wasn't always the case. That's more of a recent thing, though. Rural areas and the South are historically very blue. I think politics is interesting because I think the term is the... Also, hello and quad. It's interesting because I think the term is it's the Overton window, right? That's the term? The window. And that's like the window of what is considered acceptable speech, right? And that shifts a lot, essentially. And the way it works is that, like, each side essentially stakes their position as far to the left or right within their window of acceptable speech, basically. And as the window shifts, every platform adjusts based on it. So, for example, if I think it happens. It's not even political. Let's say social issues, right? What happens is, as social issues change, the people that are conservative stay conservative. They just end up being in the same relative position that they were in before, if that makes sense. For example, 20 years ago. So 20 years ago, okay, I just want to make sure I was not an idiot here. 20 years ago, gay marriage was not a thing in the US, right? And at that point, the social perspective on the gays was that, like, if you were very, very far right in your social opinion on the gays, okay? I love calling them the gays. I love gay people. I'm not shitting on the US here at all. It was illegal in Massachusetts in 2004. So actually, 20 years ago, not even legal in the US. Not shitting on America here at all, actually, for this. Like, within, you know what I mean? I'm not, like, trying to make a point that the point is to shit on. No, I Googled it to make sure I wasn't saying something incorrect before I said anything. Anyway, the point of this isn't to shit on America specifically. What I'm trying to express is, even though America can get it, you know? What I'm saying is, 20 years ago, if we think of, I don't know if this is flipped on your side, if this is left and this is right, but that's gonna fuck me up pretty hard if I try to remember it in my brain. So anyway, let's say the furthest person left here, the furthest person right here, the furthest socially acceptable opinion on gay people, the furthest right social accepted opinion on gay people is, like, to say, like, they need to be, like, fucking eradicated from society. You know, draw a diagram on Microsoft Paint. Okay. Because I think what's changed in my mind, I guess, in the last paint stream, in the last, like, while, what's changed more than anything is actually like social issues rather than necessarily like political stuff. You know, that's, like, been the bigger shift. Okay, so let's like do our thing here. Okay. Anyway, I just say this our thing. Okay. So let's say this is I love this so much. This is very fun. Okay. Let's title this. Okay. Views on the gays. 2000 versus now. Okay. This might not be exactly the most the best graph I've ever created in my life. Okay, it might not be. It's not the scale, basically. Okay, but essentially, you know, 20 years ago, here in this area, physical violence / death. Okay, let's be real. Okay. 20 years ago, Okay, I'm gonna have to, I always love that. Okay, 20 years ago, this over here. Okay, 20 years ago, physical violence slash death, okay. This is considered within, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I am talking, it is the Overton window that I'm explaining. What I was saying just is that, the perspective on, like, rather, let's be more concise with our words. Politically, I don't think things have changed too much in the last 20 years, like in terms of politically. I don't think that there's been too much of a shift in the like overall political situation in the world in the last 20 years. I don't think where we are today is that much different than like I don't think where America is today politically, not socially, but in terms of policy decisions. I don't think in terms of policy decisions, America is that different today than it was like 20 years ago. However, socially, I think it's quite different by like a lot. Because 20 years ago, it would have been okay if you were like very, very far right and you had a very far right opinion on gay people. It would have been okay, like socially, 20 years ago, to say that you think like gay people need to be like attacked in the fucking street and like assaulted and killed. That would have been like you could have said that socially, and people like on the right, like people who are like, people like left of you, obviously would have thought you were a bad person and everything, but it wouldn't have been like unacceptable socially. However, today, if you look, today, this is like very much not okay socially at all. Like if you say that if a politician, or not politician, but if a person says like they think gay people should be killed, even conservatives nowadays will look at a person who thinks that gay people should be assaulted and be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So what happens is those people that wanted to say, 20 years ago, that they would have been saying that they should, physical violence and death, where they have to go now is they have to go to here, and they have to go and they have this position here, and this position is the, like, I don't hate gay people, but if a gay dude tries touching me, or no, but I think they're grooming kids or some shit, I don't know, whatever the fuck, right? So they have to switch their position, from here to here, which is like what used to be the moderate opinion, but now it's the extreme position, but the extreme position has shifted, and then eventually the idea will be, the position that was like, for example, here, like this position 20 years ago was probably something like, I don't get it, but whatever. Also, how come my gay child doesn't speak to me anymore? Can anyone explain this? Okay. Anyway, so now this position over here, okay, which used to be in the past, I don't really get it, but whatever. And then also, how come my gay child won't speak to me anymore? Can anyone explain this? Nowadays, this is such a fucking clusterfuck of position things, but nowadays that's like that's like the moderate opinion. This is such a terrible explanation. Paint masterpiece. But now this is what the moderate position on LGBT people is, which is like, yeah, anyway. Why did I do that? I have no idea. That was pointless. All I'm saying is there's been a lot more of a shift in the Overton window socially, in my opinion, than politically, okay? That's all I was saying. Actually, I don't think that they really moderated on the gay marriage question. They just used the groomer issue as a wedge issue against Democrats. The thing is, and I think I said this a while ago, when abortion was, when the abortion ruling, like the Supreme Court abortion ruling was overturned, and people were saying that like something like gay marriage could be next. They're going back on gay marriage right now. My thing is, in a way, I worry. I saw the threat in abortion being overruled, if that makes sense, because that's a really, really, really hotly debated thing. Like, that is really hotly debated. Like, abortion rights are not a settled argument by any means in the mind of the like American people. But in my mind, and I could be wrong, but in my mind, gay marriage is settled. At this point, I cannot possibly see like America regressing, even though like right-wing people want to push on it. I truly think it's settled at this point. Like, if you told any of the people that I used to work with when I was in like, when I used to like live in a more rural area, and a lot of the people that I was like working with were like rural white, like conservative, like middle-aged women, you know, a lot of them were. But like these people have like gay kids, and they have gay kids and they have gay friends, and there's gay people on TV and in the media they consume and everything. And it's like a thing where if you told like even a lot of the conservative people that I've known in my life, if you told like the relative, like, you know, not the, I guess, crazy like gay people are groomers ones, but like the average conservative, I feel like the average conservative doesn't think that like gay people shouldn't be allowed to like get married. That's just how I feel, I guess. That's just how I feel. I feel like abortion stuff is much less of a settled thing, but I really do think that like gay marriage is not on the same level as like being debated by people. What makes me think that Roe v. Wade was decided in 1973? Well, what makes me think it is socially is what I mean. I don't mean that like the American courts don't have the rights or anything to do it, but I do think that like it's not that I don't think they have the ability to do it. I think that socially, you actually lose conservatives. Like, conservatives won't like gladly get on board. I feel like people would just feel wrong about it. Even like my mom is like, my parents are like pretty liberal, I think, and my mom is like, my parents would be quite liberal, you know? They're pretty good in my opinion. They're quite good, especially like considering where we grew up and our background and everything, and where they live now, and their age and everything, you know, like their generation. They're in my opinion, they're quite good. And my mom is pro. My mom is like pro. Like, obviously, like, she has a gay child and a trans child. She's very pro like LGBT stuff, obviously, and she's pro-choice when it comes to like abortion. But like, even my mom, as like a pretty like liberal person, I guess, like left liberal, I guess, my mom is still like, when you talk to her about abortion, she's like, she really feels sad that it has to happen. if that makes sense. Like, she feels really sad about it. So, like, I just feel like there's, like, a lot of, even being, like, pro-choice, I guess. I feel like my mom just, you know, is a good, in my opinion, I guess, all I'm trying to say is abortion stuff is a lot more, I feel like I've made this point. I'm whipping on the same point. I think I'm right, at least on it. Otherwise, I wouldn't say it. But I think abortion is much more like of a thing that people are arguing on. I just can't vocalize, I guess. That's why, that's frustrating. Anyway. That's like a frustrating thing. But I don't think you're going to find the same kind of like empathy from like the center for like banning gay marriage, I guess.